Hey guys, welcome back to the Agile Development and Better Software virtual conference, streaming live still from Caesars Palace in Las Vegas. Adi Shakoya here from agiletv.com, and right now I'm with Bob Galen. How you doing, Bob?
I'm doing great.
Good to see you as always.
Good to see you as well.
Stuff. So I know you gave some talks about leadership at this event, but before we get into that, just for those who are watching right now, can you just give us a quick introduction and a bit of your background, please?
A quick introduction.
A quick one.
I'm Bob Galen. I'm from Cary, North Carolina. I'm an Agile coach, a certified Scrum coach. I've been doing Agile, and everyone says this, from the early days, so from around 99 or 2000. I have some experience in extreme programming, Kanban, Scrum, and I'm one of the, I've been presenting at SQE events since, I think my first SQE event was 99 or 2000, so I'm a dinosaur around here as well.
So you're old school veteran.
I am somewhat old school.
Oh yeah, but a young looking old school veteran.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
I appreciate that.
I'll pay you later for that.
Thank you very much. Pounds only, no dollars. Okay. So, one of the things, obviously, you've got many years, and as we're seeing, there's quite a lot of, unfortunately or fortunately, a lot of people out there who are kind of coming from the theory, right?
Right.
They haven't really had extensive experience, so they haven't come across all the various situations that those of us who are out there might have come across as doing it practically. Now, one of the key things that I'm identifying, maybe you can speak to that, is the fact that although we're having some success at the team level with Agile teams, what we're recognizing is that when we now start to scale it out, the leadership becomes really important. What do you think of that? And can you speak to that?
I agree. I've been talking about it. I think we've been realizing it for a number of years. The version 1 surveys, you can see it, that leadership is a critical success factor or a critical failure factor if it's poor leadership.
Yep.
And I think you can extrapolate that to scale, but it's even leadership in small contexts. I think we've made a mistake. I'm starting to second guess my own coaching and my own focus, that I've been downward. The way I think of it is I've been downward focused towards the teams. I think somewhat because that's easy. You start with the teams, we're going to coach the team, we're going to train the team, and we forget something, which is those leaders that have to support the team, particularly middle management or middle leadership, which I think is a critical success or failure factor. I'm starting to change my own coaching and training. When I go into an engagement, I'm almost insisting that I engage leadership equally with the team.
Of course.
I've said no to business if leadership doesn't, if they look at it as a team-only play, and they don't want to participate. And I'm not doing it frivolously, but I'll literally say, no, this may not work out if you're not going to be a partner with your teams. So I agree with you. I think it's the next generation for us as coaches or leaders or Agile, either internal or external. We need to start partnering with engaging leaders, but we also vilify them sometimes or marginalize them.
Yes.
We need to partner with them.
Yep.
So we need to engage them, and they need to engage us. But it needs to be this partnership. Dilbert. I think Dilbert, we've overdone Dilbert.
Yeah, I believe so. Yes,
we've Dilbertized our leadership.
Of course.
And we need to start pulling the Dilbert cartoons off and really reaching out. They're people like the teams and work together.
And I think that's an interesting point that you raised about us vilifying them. Up until now, there's always that kind of, in my experience when I'm working with a lot of teams previously, there's always that us and them. It's like, okay, we're Agile, but they're not, and they're stopping us, but we weren't necessarily taking the time to actually work out, okay, like you said, we're working with the teams and we're providing them with the coaching and support that helps them to become more agile in what they're doing, but no one's really been supporting the senior management and the leaders to help them to understand the role that they play. So is it any wonder that they might feel, well, that's something that those guys don't talk about, no one's engaging us about it?
Absolutely, that's part of the problem. That's why we blame, but we're not reaching out, and they're not reaching out. We have this sort of boundary in this wall. I think folks here at the conferences, guys like you and I, we can help that. I don't know if I'm not saying we've set it up that way, but we haven't chipped away at it aggressively. I think we can. I think that's the next thing we need to be doing. I left a job a little while back at a company called iContact. I was an internal change agent, and we transformed the organization to Agile, and I'm pretty proud of it. It was a pretty mature transformation. When I was there, I was a leader. I was a VP of development, but I was also the Agile coach. When I was there, I felt like I spent 70% of my time down and 30% up. It felt that way to me. When I left and reflected, it was the reverse.
Right, okay.
I was spending 30% of my time at the team level, and I was spending 50% of my time coaching leaders, middle management. and then executive management, and it worked.
Okay,
but what that says is I think we need to flip the pyramid around a little bit, and they need to be part of that.
So expanding on that a bit more, in traditional type of approaches that we took, we had managers, right? Now we're talking about actually having leadership, okay? What is the difference between leaders and managers in this new age of developing software and products?
I think we both know. I mean, you can chime in. It's not just my view too.
I appreciate it.
I think we go from management to leadership. What is management? Management is tactics. What are tactics? Managing time, telling people what to do, checking status reports, filling in paperwork, etc. That's the tactical side of things. I don't think that drives value. I don't think that drives results.
Of course.
It certainly doesn't drive. It doesn't excite anyone. But we're very good at that. It's sort of that Tayloristic management. You're a bean counter at a technical level. I think we need to transform towards leaders. Forget Agile. We should have always been good. That management style wasn't good in Waterfall.
I appreciate it.
Right. So I think we need to lead teams. What does that mean? In my workshop, I talked about setting vision, setting goals, motivating the team, talking about the big picture, talking about the problems we're trying to solve. So instead of telling the team how to solve the problem, setting the stage for things, motivating the team, hiring great people, helping folks train, setting up organizational structures that work with agility, partnering with the team, bringing in guys like you and I, and as a leader, and being self-aware to say, I don't know. So asking for help from the coaches and reaching out to the coaches. I think good leaders do some of those things. Generate fun in the team. It's not just about, we lose the joy. I think sometimes in that traditional management style, I think the managers lose the joy, and I think the teams lose the joy. Leaders can bring the joy back to what we do.
Of course.
I mean, why did you have a software background? Why did you do it? Because you had fun with it, because you enjoy it.
I mean, my background was, business analyst, scrum master, coach, consulting. For me, I enjoy doing those things. I enjoy engaging with people. And one of the things I enjoy from doing the consulting and coaching and training side of it is actually to go in and empower people. Sometimes you go into organizations where the people, for whatever reason, no one's fault, are downtrodden, they're just getting on with it. No one's getting any joy. They feel like prisoners because they got a mortgage and they have to stay there. And I like to go into organizations and work across from bottom to the top to help everybody to actually create the right environment whereby actually people are coming in and feeling like, hey, let's really get stuck in, shared vision like you said, and also, from the business perspective, they're getting value, so everybody's having joy, but at the end of the day, making sure they're delivering what the business needs. Now, I know you touched on a few different points there. I mean, are there in your experience some patterns of leadership, and which ones are most supportive of creating that value and creating that culture and environment?
Well, we talked about there's this general notion in Agile, it's called, there's sort of this servant leadership model where you serve the team. I was doing a discussion this morning, a podcast, and we were talking to Trisha Broderick, and we were talking about servant leadership needs to also, it's not just bringing bagels to the team and pleasing the team, it's setting expectations, it's raising the bar. So I think that a good general model for leaders in Agile is being a servant leader, but it's not servant that you're acquiescing to the team. It's serving that you become an active partner. Most leaders, they're leaders because they have wonderful experience. They have chops, they have things to offer. So it's this combination of how do I bring my strengths as a leader? How do I defend my team? How do I give them everything they need to be successful? How do I push them at times beyond their comfort zones? Which would say some people don't want leadership to push their teams, but push them in the right direction.
Of course, and that's how people grow, right? You got to push them to help them
and
grow.
You're growing, and then you're honestly relaying to your team, I'm not pushing you because my boss pushed me. I'm pushing you because I care about you. We were talking this morning about relationships. I think leaders establish relationships with their team. They care about their teams. They care about business results. They care about the customer, but putting people first and driving that customer value through their teams.
And it's interesting, because in those environments where I've encountered, when I've gone into organizations and I've encountered or helped to create leaders like that, then you find that the team does so much more, and they tend to, to want to do so much more, be much more productive, and, provide the business with a lot more value.
Well, Sutherland talks about this notion of high capacity or high velocity, teams, right? High volume teams, agile teams. Well, you don't get that by pushing folks or measuring velocity and tracking it and giving someone, I want 20% more velocity. You get that by inspiration. So how do you get 200% or 3 times 2 times, 3 times, 4 times what waterfall might have been. You get that through the people. You get that through inspiration. There's no magic number,
of course,
but you get that sort of that out of the box productivity through the team and through solid leadership.
Cool, which is obviously what.
Now, this sounds all good. I still think we're, if there's a chasm or we're crossing the chasm, we have not crossed the chasm in leadership yet. We have our work cut out for us.
I guess it's continuous improvement. And I guess that's where people like us and the other people who are out there can actually lead that and help, leaders to also become much more effective, so they get.
I hope every coach, every pundit, every speaker at this conference, we start changing that pyramid where we start moving from downward to upward coaching and upward partnership. I think we can, even though it's hard.
Great stuff. No, I really appreciate it. So thank you ever so much for obviously taking the time out to share that information with us. I'm sure there might be some people out there who might be interested in finding out a bit more about what you do. Where can they find you, or how can they get in contact with you?
Best way, my website is www.rgalen.com. I have a newsletter there, and there's just stuff there. Or you can look me up on LinkedIn.
Cool. All right. Well, once again, I really appreciate you. Hey, always a pleasure to see you. And thank you very much.
Thank you for the conversation.
Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll be back shortly with some more interviews.